Thank you very much. Welcome once again. We are now joined by the two club reps from the two finalists. I'll start with Coach Sergio Almenara, representing the home side for this fixture, and that is Orlando Pirates. Next to him is Coach Manqoba Mngqithi from the away team, which is Mamelodi Sundowns. Representing the two clubs. Maybe I'll just start with home team, Coach. Just your thoughts heading into this. Finally, you are the defending champions. Do you guys feel maybe the pressure that you need to defend it, and what can we expect coming up on Saturday up against Mamelodi Sundowns?
Afternoon, everybody. First of all, we are very happy to be here. We have great memories, as you said, from the last year to win the MTN Cup. Great venue. We were having really good memories from the last year. So we are expecting that it's going to be a great game with two very good teams, and the only thing that we expect that the focus is only in the football part.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Coach Manqoba, the similar kind of questions. What can we expect, and just how's the mood heading into this one?
First one is to thank you for the invite. It's so nice to be here in my hometown, away from home. I'm expecting a very tough encounter. We are playing against a very good team that has done very well up to so far. The expectations are very high, and that is also shown by the number of tickets that we sold in a short space of time. So it's going to be such an interesting match.
Thank you, Coach. Let's now hand over to members of the media. Just by a show of hands, we'll take the first question. We've got a roving microphone in the middle. Okay, Robin Juke. Can go ahead.
My question is directed to Coach Sergio. How are you going to ensure that you control the emotions? Because the last time you guys played against Sundowns, one of your assistant coaches was sent off. How are you going to ensure that that doesn't happen? Because the minute you do that, it shows that you guys are valuable in the department.
What do you mean about abandonment?
In terms of controlling your emotions, I mean, from the players, from yourself. Yeah, go.
But you are talking about one individual, right? That doesn't mean that it's everybody the same. So we are facing the game as usual, with the confidence that we have been working well during the week, and with the confidence also that we have quality enough to face a very good team in very good conditions. That's all.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take the next one, Gulero.
Question for both coaches. Yesterday, Coach Rulani spoke about responded on the question of referees and warned the referees that in their last encounters against Orlando Pirates, they usually get players get injured and all the stuff. How do you respond to that? Maybe it's a follow-up from the question from Juke about the emotions of the game. What would be your message for coaches to the referees that will be in charge of Saturday? As we know that there's been a lot of talks about the officiating in the PSL this season.
I think this is not maybe in my opinion, the right channel to talk about referees. I think there are other channels that we are probably not the ones to talk, but we can talk about data if you want. The data says that the last game that we played against Sundowns commit 24 fouls and Pirates commit 6. The data also says that Sundowns average fouls per game is almost 17, so it's the top 2 in both competitions, PSL and MTN. And in a possession-based team, you should calculate how much time they are out of the ball or out of possession, divided by the number of fouls that they are committing. So we are talking about things that can happen in a particular game, but some things that can happen in many of the games. Did I answer your question?
Personally, I'm not somebody who wants to talk about referees. Whatever that Coach Ulani has said, I think it was coming from him. The coach is also saying now we are averaging quite a number of fouls per match. And to be honest, I'm not surprised. We are playing a very high octane game, and most of those fouls are maybe from counter presses. We have not really harmed any opposition with those fouls. Those are the fouls just to make sure that we don't lose the balance as a team, and we are in a better shape to be able to deal with the counter attack. And it's not fouls that you can write home and say we nearly broke someone. So the truth of the matter is the nature of the type of a game that we play requires that we must do what we have to do to make sure that we are not exposed to counter attacks.
Okay, let's move here to Ayanda.
Question for Coach Sergio. Coach, is there perhaps a worry from your side when it comes to the form of the team going into this game? We're winning, I think, 2 of your last 6 games in all competitions. Are you guys worried about that, or maybe perhaps you feel like it's the kind of game where form goes completely out the window?
It's a final, so I think when you face a game like this, you don't worry about what is happening before or after. You are just focusing, prepare properly the week on the training side, and try to face the game as best as possible with the tools that you have in your hands. So not to worry about the previous games.
Coach Samuel from Pirates FM, this one is directed to Coach Mngqithi. Do you almost feel like it's payback time, considering that the Pirates knocked you out of the tournament last season and they went on to win it, and you subsequently lost your position as the head coach of Mamelodi Sundowns?
In football, there is no payback time. In football, we got into the sport because we love it. We got into football because we wanted to enjoy doing the work that we believe is what we are good at. We are playing against a very competitive team, and it will be naive of us, or if not ignorant of us, to just think it's going to be a walk in the park, it's payback time, because we are playing against a very good team that has shown in many instances that they are a very good team. We will have to give the game the respect that it requires. We are playing against a big team. Orlando Pirates is not a pushover, and they've done very well in the past competition. We have always struggled to win this trophy at Sundowns. I think ever since I've been there, it's my 10th year now. We've only won it once, and we are hoping to make sure that we are able to win it again. So we are not taking anything for granted. We have to focus on what Pirates can do to hurt us and try to make sure that we help them more than they hurt us. But to preempt what is going to happen is very difficult at this stage.
Alfred Gubani.
Coach, Manqoba Mngqithi, ngifuna ukuthola la ukuthi nizakahle kakhulu neMamelodi Sundowns. Mhlawumbe ikhona ni already ibona noma ingozi eniyibonayo eqenjini le-Orlando Pirates ukuthi ingavukana ngani emva kokuthi ke ingenzi kahle nezinzuzo.
Personally, every match that I go to play, and everybody believes that we are almost entitled to win. Those matches are probably the most difficult matches. I always have extra caution, and our coaching staff we know we must always have extra cushion, and the fact that Pirates has bombed out of the Champions League, it makes them a very dangerous opposition for us in all competitions this season, because it means they are going to get a little bit more time to focus on the coaching and training of the team. And that is something that we are not getting enough as a team that plays almost every 2-3 days. So the time that we spend in training is very, very minimal, and that makes it a very tough encounter for us. And the fact that they are sitting in the position that they are sitting in now on the log, they will have to dig deeper to make sure that they push for a trophy, to make sure that their supporters are not on top of them. So personally, that's why I treat this game with a lot of respect, with a lot of humility, and hoping that we will be able to control our emotions, to stick to our tactical agreements and know exactly what is expected of us, because believe me, it's not going to be what many people think, because a lot of people are looking at our record this season that we haven't lost a game, we've only drawn one and won every match that we have played this year. But a cup final is a cup final, and it requires the respect and the humility that we should give it to it. So personally, I'm looking at a very tough match ahead of us.
Smiso?
Okay, everyone. Smiso, I'm sorry, independent media. My question is for Coach Sergio. Coach, we know how good a team Pirates is, but given the recent head-to-head versus Mamelodi Sundowns and their dominance over the fixture, even in the last 2 to 3 years, is there a sense in your technical team or in your camp that maybe you guys are going to have to pull up something special to eventually beat them, considering the occasion as well?
If there is something special, I'm not going to tell you. But otherwise than that, we are facing, like Coach said, we are facing a really, really good game with 2 very good teams. And we are happy to be there again. In a scenario, in a 3rd final in a row in our time here in South Africa, where we are facing probably, or we are going to be seeing probably the 2 best teams in South Africa, probably the best football in South African football. So we are happy to be there, and we are like preparing the game as it requires. So all our efforts are going to be focusing what we can get in advantage towards them and what we can neutralize from them. So basically nothing special, just trying to be ourselves with our own identity and try to punish where we can punish and neutralize where we can neutralize.
Okay, Jamulo.
My question is for Coach Manqoba.
Oh, sorry. I can't see. Oh, yeah. Michelle.
My question is for Coach Manqoba. Coach Manqoba, I wanted to ask, how much is it about for you guys, especially considering that you will be having players like Ribeiro, Mule, and Verena? How is it going to be a blow?
When we recruit beginning of the season, we recruit having in mind these unforeseen circumstances, that you might end up losing some of your key players. We have played some big matches without Peter Shaluline. Unfortunately now he's back. Unfortunately Lucas is out. Morena Lucas is not yet completely out, if I can be honest with you. There is a very big chance that he might still make it. Morena almost guaranteed to be out, but otherwise we believe we've got a team that is capable of competing at any given stage. Yes, of course, individual differences would always have a different impact in the match. Tapelo would give us something in our counter pressing, would give us something in terms of the speed behind the defense, but we still have other options in that regard. Yes, it will be a blow, But I do not want to make it an excuse that because player so and so and player so and so is not there, then we are having a weaker team. I still believe we've got a very strong team that can compete against a very speedy transitional team like Orlando Pirates that can be very dangerous behind the defense. So I'm optimistic we still have the right team to play the final.
Let's go to Njabulo then. I've noted you there, Nobel. Let's start with Njabulo. I think his mic is off. You can just pass on another mic. There's
Mngqithi from News 24. My first question is for Coach Sergio. Coach Jose was able to do something that a few foreign coaches have been able to do in the country, which is first season win and also win over not just the supporters of Pirates but also some neutrals. What was key in terms of how Coach Jose was able to quickly settle into the team and hit work with him? How was he able to win over players and fans in such a short space of time? And to Coach Manqoba, it's also in relation to Coach Rolani. When you've worked with him for quite a number of time, what has been key in terms of his growth as a coach, looking at when he came in to now being the head coach of the team? And what about him, and I know it touches also to the entire extent, it touches on the work of the whole technical team that makes players, when they come to Sundowns, that they grow tactically and technically, and you see an improvement in terms of what they were in their previous clubs and what they are at Sundowns.
Coach Sergio, you can go ahead.
Basically hard work and basically trying to understand the environment, the new context that we arrive, and trying to let's say mix what we were bringing and what was found there. So basically trying to accelerate the process as much as possible with the best quality as possible.
Coach Manqoba?
I'll try to be short. I think on this one, Sundowns as a team, it's a high performance environment. We have developed a culture, the ethics and the principles of the game that we have to attach to. Fortunately, we don't have to change too much in terms of how we play. Any coach that comes in, we are within the same framework. But to give you a direct answer on Coach Rolani, I think he's one of the young up-and-coming coaches who is very talented, very detailed, and works very hard. And those are some of the strengths that he brings into the game. Fresh ideas, big talent as a coach, and a very good work ethic. And I think that is what carries him, and that is still going to carry the club forward. Thank you.
Thank you. My brother there. Big Mike, I've noted you. I've noted, yeah. We still have time, don't worry. You can go ahead, bro.
Okay, so I'm going to be active. My question is to both coaches. So since the beginning of the season, both teams have played almost a game every 3 days, given the amount of competitions that you're participating in. But coming into this final, you've had both your fixtures postponed. Do you think that the week was enough time in preparation for this fixture? Or do you feel like there are certain areas that you really you could have touched on if you had a bit more time?
Thank you. Like you said, we had many games per week during the last month, so we appreciate every time that we have a complete week, we call it, to work in the things that we think that we have to work with more time, with more detail, and try to promote a scenario and let's say environment inside our training ground where the player feels comfortable to apply everything that we are trying to apply basically. So for the game. So every time that we have one extra day between games, it's appreciated.
In as much as to someone it was quite a good time when you've got a full week, but I wouldn't think we had to focus on working on the players that much without considering that it's also a very good time for the players to recover, which is why we had to give them some days off to make sure that they are fresher, because more than anything else we wanted to have a fresher team. Then in our preparation, maybe use the last 3-4 days to make sure that we've got a team that is a little bit fresher and ready to compete with whatever niggling injuries that were there. We also got a bit of time to be able to treat them. But it's always appreciated that we are playing a cup final after having had some time to recuperate and maybe add a few ideas in the game.
Big Mike?
Good afternoon, Coach. It's Big Man from FM. I just want to find out, it's a big game. Is there any financial motivation from both teams as far as the players are concerned? We know Sundowns, you normally do it, you know. So just want to know, is there any financial motivation to the players? And also, Coach Sergio, are you going to finish Coach Manqoba in 90 minutes? And as for you, Coach Manqoba, is it going to be the same thing? What? You're going to finish in 90 minutes or extra time?
No, he's basically asking if you want to finish the match in 90 minutes or not. But I think first question was about if there are any bonuses that have been promised to the players.
At Sundowns, we've got standard procedures. Probably that is the reason why we are a little bit stable, because we know exactly what to be expected when you win a trophy. We know what is to be expected when you don't win a trophy. So there's nothing new. We're expecting what we should normally expect when we win a trophy. And I don't think it's always the right thing to do to try to incentivize just one match at that point in time, because with a lot of extrinsic motivation comes a lot of anxiety, and with anxiety comes a lot of mistakes and maybe tackles over the top because people are overly motivated at the wrong time. So I always prefer places where there's principles and standards that are kept right through, so that there is not always going to be something extrinsic that makes people to work or maybe to play beyond what they normally do, because chances are that they might end up committing unnecessary fouls and cost you a game. Thank you.
Coach Sergio?
Yes, for the first question, I'm not the person to answer to. Okay, so sorry. The second question, obviously we know that the game can be finished at 90 minutes, but we also know that it could be extra time or penalties. The point is like prepare everything that it's out in our future in order to comply in a scenario where the player feels that he can do it in whatever is coming. So at the end, we know that there is a final, so we are taking care of every situation.
Coach, second question, Coach Manqoba?
To be honest, it's not up to us whether the game will be finished in 90 minutes or at extra time or penalties. I think that one, the game itself will give an indication which direction it wants to take. And as coaches, we can do so much, but we must just prepare for whatever scenario that presents itself. I cannot tell you whether it's going to be finished in 90 minutes or not. It's a very difficult answer for me, and I'm sure it will be even difficult for the players because they don't know how the game is going to pan out. But when the game is played, wherever you will be sitting, you will see whether this game is going to finish in 90 minutes or beyond that.
I saw a hand, Snetemba.
Good day, coaches. Questions about for you.
Firstly, Coach Sergio, I think they've beaten you 3 times, Sundowns in a row. But to be fair, you've always presented a good fight against them. How frustrating it is that you've been coming close, to avoid the loss at the hands of them. Because if you're looking at the margins, it hasn't been really 2-0, 3-0, it has been maybe 1-0, 2-1. How frustrating to come so close to avoiding the loss against them. And Coach Manqoba, it's a cup competition. The last time you lost, I think it was Pirates in the Netball Cup. What's so different about the cup clash? Not only just the final, but the cup clash, the approach and what's expected and all that.
So, as a football coaches and players and everybody around the team, you always feel frustration every time you lose, but sometimes you feel more frustration if you feel that you deserve more. And I'm talking not about the result, I'm talking about the performance. So there has been games that we have been facing against them or against other opponents that we felt that we deserve more. Sometimes it's just the opposite, that you get the result and you feel that the performance was not as best as or as you expected. Okay, so frustration is in our daily life in football, so we have to deal with it.
Can you repeat your question?
I think the last time you lost, it was a cup competition against Davis. Yes, you're doing well in the league, and also it happens that the last time you beat Pirates, it was also a cup competition. I mean, you lost to Pirates, it was also a cup competition. So what's so different about the cup competition, about the cup clash? Because obviously you're doing well in the league, but sometimes it happens that you struggle in the cup clash. So in terms of the approach, in terms of what's expected, in terms of the pressure, what is it that's so different about the cup clash?
I wouldn't say there is that much of a difference between a league match and a cup match. But maybe the knowledge that if you don't win the match, you are going to lose. It's not like you are going to get a point or you're going to lose a match, but you can still recover. But to be honest, I don't think there is much of a difference between a cup match and a league match. You have presented a lot of scenarios. The scenario of us losing to Stellenbosch, sometimes we say hindsight is the best sight. Because if you remember at that time we were deep in the Champions League and we rotated the team because we thought we wanted our team to be fresher for the game against Wydad, but unfortunately that backfired. And I think that is the same thing that happened for Pirates when we played them in the previous match, because they rotated the team when they went to Johannesburg because they wanted to be fresh for us. And they lost both matches. We also lost both matches, in as much as we played a draw against Wydad, but that was a loss for us. And sometimes people say you must rotate the team because it keeps your team fresh, but sometimes rotations create problems. So in football, you never really know. That's why you are always seated in a very good position where you are, because your teams never get to lose a match.
Thank you very much. We are taking the last round of questions. I just want to see if we've got new hands before I go back to Nkululeko and Robin Juk. Okay, last 2 questions, Nkululeko and then Robin Juk.
Hello, umbuzo Mngqithi, ngicela sisebenzise. Mhlawumbe Mngqithi uningi osekhulunyiwe ngawo kusuka kule game Pirates and kuningi osekushiwo ngawe, abanye becabanga ukuthi mhlawumbe you-2 Sundowns. Ngizama ukuthola la ukuthi mhlawumbe yini le egqugquzelayo ukuthi ungadikibali kuwo konke esekhulunyiwe ngawo. Lokuthi mhlawumbe yini le yenza ukuthi uhlale kwi-Sundowns even though abanye babethi mhlawumbe awuyithathi noma awuyasaba ukuthola any club ezokunika i-compensation yabo.
Ya umbuzo wakho ugcwele. Nokodwa engingakusho nje okokuqala ukuthi siselizweni elina freedom of expression. Umuntu unelungelo lokukhuluma noma yini athanda ukukhuluma. And ngenhlanhla yethu we are also conveniently placed in positions where sikwazi khona futhi ukuphinde sikhohlwe lokho sifuna ukukhohlwa, sikhumbule lokho sifuna ukukhumbula. Because if ngikhumbula kahle ngike ngaba one of the youngest coaches in the league, and there was only one team eyodwa ngazo isikhathi KZN iGolden Arrows, and wonke ama-club ayicoach abaqeqeshi aba-more experienced nababecabangela ukuthi bangcono kunami ngaso isikhathi relegated. But mina ngakwazi ukuyibamba iGolden Arrows right through up until ngize ngibe ngiyishiya without any threat of relegation. So when I'm at this stage of my career and umuntu azocabanga ukuthi ngiyasaba ukuphuma ngiyi-comfort zone and all that, ku-right ukuthi umuntu acabange into ayicabangayo. When you are a coach and you want to be successful as a coach, kubalulekile ukuthi ube na very thick skin, because if you listen to what everybody else says about you, you might go out of the race. Because most of the time, maybe it's an advice to you as well, most of the time popular decisions are the wrong decisions. When people say do this, fanele uhlezi uthi sit back kancane ubone ukuthi yini la bafuna ukuyibona, because at times what sounds so popular and so interesting is so wrong. So kimina as a human being, I use my brains. I don't use my emotions. And I'm sure it's one of the strengths that I have as a human being. I'm not emotional. I look at everything and all angles and make my decision when the time is right. And when I make that decision, I will not be expecting people to clap hands, because it will be my decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Robin Duke, last question.
Coach Sergio, I mean, we've spoken much about these 4 games that you guys have not won. But doesn't that put you more under pressure looking at the prestige of this game and also the ticket that you sold out? And if something you guys don't win, heads may roll. Just on you, Coach Manqoba, I mean, we've spoken about you guys having lost the league match since September last year. What have you done to ensure that these guys don't get complacent? Because, I mean, we know South African players, once, you do well, they become so big-headed. Why have you ensure that that doesn't happen?
Can go ahead, Coach.
Yes, we are just feeling happiness for being in the final, that's all.
In short,
the best medicine to kill complacency is competition. And I think that is what we have done very well. Every player at Sundowns knows he's not entitled to the position. I'm not entitled to my position as well. Coach Ulane is not entitled to his position. Competition is life. You know, if you are not doing what you're supposed to do, you will be out. And I think that is what has helped us. Ours is to guide and make sure that everybody understands what we want to achieve as a team. And the rest is left for them to compete for their places. And all we have to do is to try to be very fair in making sure that whoever does well, we give him a chance. We are not choosing faces. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, you can answer it to me.
No, it's not answer.
All right, we're gonna end it here. Thank you very much, coaches. We'll just do a quick photo op.